chant the shloka, or should I just chant the shloka word for word?
Only you can chant the shloka, Prabhu. It's okay. You can chant.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu introduced me. I was originally born in the Mediterranean. I came to America. I do like music very much. I met the devotees, the kirtan, and Prabhupada in the 70s, and feel very happy to be part of Prabhupada's family, and especially serving in Sri Vrindavan Dham. And life has been a very great journey, and material world is a very mysterious place. We're all learning somehow or other how to adjust ourselves in this world. So this is the verse here. Ata chainang nitya jatang nityang va man yase mritam tatapi tvang mahabaho nainang shochitum arhasi. Ata, if however, cha, also, enam, this soul, nitya jatam, always born, nityam, forever, va, either, manyase, you so think, mritam, dead, tata api, still, tvam, you, mahabaho, almighty armed one, na, never, enang, about the soul, shochitum, to lament, arhasi, deserve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. If somehow you think that the soul or the symptoms of life is always born and dies forever, you still have no reason to lament, Almighty Armed. Srila Prabhupada's purport. There's always a class of philosophers almost akin to the Buddhists who do not believe in the separate existence of the soul beyond the body. When Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, it appears that such philosophers existed, and they were known as the Lokayatikas and Vaibhashikas. Such philosophers maintain that life symptoms take place at a certain mature condition of material combination. The modern material scientists and materialist philosophers also think similarly. According to them, the body is a combination of physical elements, and at a certain stage, the life symptoms develop by interaction of the physical and chemical elements. The science of anthropology is based on this philosophy. Currently, many pseudo-religions now becoming fashionable in America are also adhering to this philosophy, as well as the nihilistic, non-devotional Buddhist sects. Even if Arjuna did not believe in the existence of the soul, as in the Vaibhashika philosophy, there would still have been no cause for lamentation. No one laments the loss of a certain bulk of chemicals and stops discharging his prescribed duty. On the other hand, in modern science and scientific warfare, so many tons of chemicals are wasted for achieving victory over the enemy. According to the Vaibhashika philosophy, the so-called soul or Atma vanishes along with the deterioration of the body. So in any case, whether Arjuna accepted the Vedic conclusion that there is an atomic soul, or he did not believe in the existence of the soul, he had no reason to lament. According to this theory, since there are so many living entities generating out of matter every moment, and so many of them are being vanquished every moment, there's no need to grieve for such incidents. If there were no rebirth for the soul, Arjuna had no reason to be afraid of being affected by simple reactions due to his killing his grandfather and teacher. But at the same time, Krishna sarcastically addressed Arjuna as Mahabahu, mighty arm, because he at least did not accept the theory of the Vaibhashikas, which leaves aside the Vedic wisdom. As a Kshatriya, Arjuna belonged to the Vedic culture. It behooved him to continue to follow its principles. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namaum Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarane. Well, Hare Krishna, everyone. It's a great honor and privilege to be in front of all of you eager souls who are wanting to hear about Krishna and Arjuna. Just as this morning, being Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disappearance day, I generally like to read Sharanagati, the translation from all his wonderful transcendental songs. Srila Prabhupada very much like the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But it's amazing how very systematically Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining, just as a great acharya does and a guru does, about the illusion of the conditioned living entity. That we're wandering throughout the universe, and here Arjuna and Krishna are ready to again give that knowledge, because the knowledge comes from Krishna. Originally, all Vedic knowledge comes from Krishna. Brahma was confused. Great sages throughout time, unless they have the guidance of the Lord and the acharyas and the Vedic literature, there's no conclusive truth to all the speculations of Darwin, the evolutionary theory. Srila Prabhupada oftentimes would comment how he went to Russia, to Moscow, Professor Kotowski. He said, Swamiji, after this body is finished, it's all finished. So here's a professor teaching all his students about that the material body is simply a combination of material chemicals, and when the chemicals wear out, you're finished forever. And sometimes students say, well, if I come back as a dog, what is the harm here? What is the harm? When we talk about the laws of karma, that if we're abiding by religious principles, performing good works, and are very careful not to disrespect or offend others, then we can get an elevated life. But most people, because of this Daivi Hesha Gunamayi, this energy of Krishna, bewilders all of us to believe that I am this body. And since I am in this body, beg, borrow, or steal, but get some ghee, enjoy life to the fullest extent, because when you get old and it's all finished, then you've lost your opportunity to enjoy. So without the purpose or goal of life being, given either by the transcendental father or the mother Veda, or the acharyas, the gurus, the representatives. So here again we go. Since religious principles have been deviated, that people are not following or understanding how to live embodied within this world and act in such a way as to get free from suffering, Bhagavad Gita is being spoken again. First of all, Krishna is telling Arjuna, I spoke the same science of Bhagavad Gita millions of years ago to the sun god. And Arjuna is playing the role. How is that possible? We're contemporaries. We've all existed in the past. We're existing at present. We'll continue to exist in the future. So this is the whole initial teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Najayate mriyate vakadacha nayam bhutva bhavita vanam bhuya ajoniti shashvato yang purano nahanyate hanyamani sharire. There's never a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these things in the future shall any of us cease to be. were eternal, ever existing, undying, primeval, not slain when the body is slain. So although violence in this world is not good, but for the purpose of upholding religious principles, just like Prithu Maharaj, after King Bena, his father, was killed because he was a complete atheist, although his father, Anga, was a great saintly king. His mother was the daughter of death personified. So the king, the Rajarshis, were actually meant to deliver the message of God. Evang parampara praptang emang rajarshayo vidu. That this kingly knowledge, this king of education, the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedic wisdom, was given to the great kings, the emperors, Swayambhuva Manu, and we have the whole disciplic succession, beginning from Krishna. So the saintly kings, if they would actually protect the citizens and give knowledge and guidance, then it doesn't matter what position the citizen was in, whether he was an intellectual like a Brahmana and very full of, bookworm and or just really philosophically inclined and able to guide others. He could be a Brahmana, and a Kshatriya, protecting Arjuna. Your duty is to protect and to give a peace and safety and harmony for all the citizens, by making sure that they're all properly engaged in their varna and their ashrama. So now the intellectuals, the ministers, the brahmanas, those who are saintly and very much studying, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was very much studying, but he was lamenting, what is the use of this academic education? It just brings you further into ignorance. But not only was he studying all the great philosophers, all the varieties of different religions, he, being empowered, is giving us the essence of his understanding, just like Srila Prabhupada, under the order of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, came to America. And from all the Acharyas' teachings, the six Goswamis and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order of Pritavita Yachayata Yadi Nagaradi Gram Sarvatra Prachara Hoibe Moranam, that actually he wanted everyone who has this knowledge to spread it to the whole world. So the Rajarshis would make sure that the Brahmanas were Brahmanically engaged, the Kshatriyas were doing their duty, and the Vaishyas, trade, protecting the cows and bulls, agriculture, all kinds of commerce, just like the belly needs to nourish the entire body. And then there's the Shudras who are working with the higher orders. But even if one is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or a Vanaprastha, a Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, or Sannyasi, Lord Chaitanya says, I'm none of these things. I'm an eternal servant of the Lord. But while embodied in this world, we have a mother and father, we're born in a certain country, we have a certain upbringing, tradition. And just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I did my studies dutifully. I got married, I had my family, and I worked hard to take care of the family members and to build the safety and security. Just like in this world, we all have to work. I was thinking of, my history. Even though I joined in a young age, after I was married, we started a business, and that business was utilized so that the family can stay in Krishna consciousness. So it doesn't matter that one is actually working, but one should mold his life in such a way that, as Prabhupada gave us a formula, just like a Rajarshi, a king, would see that people were properly situated, that they have the proper education in the youthful age. As grihastas or family people, business people, they're doing their business accordingly and offering the fruits of their labor and sacrifice to Vishnu, because everybody in this world is given sunshine, is given the rain, is given the wind, the breeze, and the vegetative growth, Mother Earth. So many gifts are there by Mother Nature and God that only an ungrateful and animalistic person would not have some gratitude and appreciation. So sacrifice is a given for anybody in the human form of life to perform. So Prithu Maharaj, he was chastising the earth, but the earth says, what can I do? They're all sinful and they're abusing, they're not following the rules and regulations. And so Prithu Maharaj, he made the various arrangements to properly situate, get rid of those rascal-minded bodily concept people, and encourage those who are following the religious principles and godly. Actually, anyone who's irreligious, they would not allow in their kingdom. But now the whole kingdom is ruled by Shudras, Malechas, Yavanas, the different categories of fallen human beings. And it's not that we're just trying to embarrass anyone or deride anyone, but all of us who are embodied with the false ego, the mind, and so-called intelligence for exploiting this material resources, and dog eat dog, people trying to outdo one another, enviousness, jealousy. So the tight grip, the clutches of Maya has us all bewildered in the bodily concept of life. And Arjuna is portraying it beautifully. No, I can't, Bhishma's my grandfather, Dronacharya is my teacher, my family, and then this war will cause so much violence and killing. There'll be unwanted progeny. So on religious principles and sentiment, he was expressing from the bodily concept of life. And normally we would say that, yes, this is good. He's a Vaishnava, he's concerned about others. But we have to see the full picture. The full picture is that we have to abide by the laws. If we're law-abiding citizens, we have to know what is the law. And the law is the human life is meant for sacrifice. And there were different sacrifices at different ages and different times. Just like someone who's working, has children, family, he has to sacrifice his energy for the sake of maintaining and protecting and taking care of. But above and beyond, he has to make sure that we're all thinking of the goal of life. Because as old age comes, disease embraces one. And although one may have been very productive and very much loved by the family members, when he's no longer capable of producing, an invalid, and everybody, anyone who's born in this world is going to grow old. They're going to, from youthhood, you produce some byproducts, you get old, and we die. Everyone dies, the body is finished. But the spirit soul is eternal. So how to understand that? How to actually, we can't see it. It's so tiny, it's smaller than the atom, 1/10,000, the tip of the hair. But how do we know it's present? Because consciousness is pervading through every part of this body. Even if you bump your toe or hit your elbow somewhere, this or that, we feel it. And so our consciousness is of our own physical body, whereas the Lord, Paramatma, Super Soul, our guide and guru, not that Krishna says, oh, there's so many living entities, how can I keep track of all of them? Krishna is very expert, he's omnipotent, he's all powerful. So not only is he in every atom, he's sitting right next to us. He knows if we've been good or bad. He knows our past, he knows our present, he knows our future. But also that inclination to utilize the human form of life in a very serious way is starting discussion with Arjuna and Krishna. Arjuna became frustrated thinking that Karpanya dosha paita svabhava prachamitvang. He's bewildered. I'm confused about my duty. Please instruct me. Give me some guidance. As friends, we can talk so many things, my opinion, your opinion. Every Muni has an idea. Every religious sect thinks that theirs is the best. But the proof of one's advancement in spiritual life is jnana, vairagya, that actually he loses the taste for material activities. And he develops a genuine desire to hear about Krishna, about Krishna's activities. He becomes eager for hearing the kirtan, the glory of the Lord, and being in the company of Vaishnavas. Lord Chaitanya is instructing a Vaishnava Acharya, Acharya that one who wants to advance rapidly in spiritual life, he'll avoid the association of non-devotees, those who are simply critical of others, who are simply fault finders and or Gramya Katha experts. Did you hear the latest gossip about so-and-so? No, tell me, please. No, we should be eager to hear about Krishna and hear about the spiritual nature of our existence. Prabhupada, he just always on the point, always fixed that human life is meant to help us solve this problem of repeated birth and death. Isn't that the problem? Sangsara dava, nalida loka, tanaya karyana ganaganatvam, praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya, vande guru sri charanarvindam. So if one's very fortunate, like all of us here in Sri Vrindavan, you can rise early in the morning and feel the vibration of the holy Dham, Golokya, Premadhan, Harinam, Sankirtan. But this Vrindavan comes from the spiritual world, from the transcendental realm, Goloka. And although there are Vaikuntha planets and many planets, there are higher planets of the demigods, the heavenly planets. So much is being offered in the Vedic literature according to one's request. Everyone has a list of needs and wants, Janis Joplin, a famous singer, wanted a new Mercedes-Benz. Oh Lord, won't you buy me this and that? So people are basically praying to the Lord for good health, for the family, for wealth, for basically the material assets for sense gratification. But Prabhupada has smashed that illusory dream that there can be any ultimate happiness outside the association of Krishna conscious people. And we should not identify, because in every society, it has its troubles and tribulations or maybe administrative shortcomings. So we should not think, oh, Gaudiya Math is this or ISKCON is that or these people that. There's always going to be the troubles and difficulties of material existence, material life, even in a spiritual society. But a real spiritual society, as Rupa Goswami says, Utsahan Nishchayattar Yattat Karma Pravartana. People have enthusiasm, but they have enthusiasm for sports cars or fighting and or different perfections or so-called happiness in this world. But our enthusiasm should be for developing our Krishna consciousness, to hear Bhagavatam regularly, to actually obey the order of the spiritual master. It's not like old-fashioned. Prabhupada is saying that rise early in the morning, see the Mangal Arati, worship Tulsi Devi, offer respects to all the Vaishnavas, worship Lord Nrsimhadev, chant the Mahamantra in the association with devotees. Go to the Guru Puja and show some gratitude for the spiritual master who is non-different than Krishna. What else we have better to do than glorify the Supreme Lord for giving us eternal knowledge, giving us the doorway, the light, the guidance to go to conquer over the challenges. There's unlimited challenges, mental, emotional, financial, let alone we have difficulty with our own minds, what to speak of the minds of our wife or husband or children or relatives, and the complexities of economic development and how to, maturely maintain my family. How do I keep the balance between my spiritual life, hearing and chanting about Krishna, and the reality of meeting, paying my mortgage and putting food on the table for my family? How do I balance all that? But that's all there in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not just simply some fanaticism or somebody's utopian idea of something that's not real and doesn't exist. Because if we're following the order of the Guru and we're really wanting to hear the message of Godhead by the great acharyas, by Prabhupada, by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Maitreya Rishi, Uddhava, Krishna, demigods, Prithu Maharaj, all these great saintly persons, Shaktavesha avatars, the Lord Shiva, even empowered demigods. They're all speaking the absolute truth and how to achieve it by surrender and devotion, selfless surrender and devotion to Krishna. But that takes a little bit of intelligence also. Prabhupada's 4 principles. Books are the basis. Preaching is the essence. Okay, so now we have books means that Krishna is incarnated in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Even after leaving 5,000 years ago, they thought, oh, what are we going to do now? No, I'm available in the form of my Srimad Bhagavatam. So actually we're worshiping Srimad Bhagavatam as our deity, as the Lord incarnated, because this wisdom will guide us through the difficult journey of the entrapments of the ego, entrapments of the lust, anger, and greed, and envy, and jealousy that keep us bound to this material world and fully fixed on the bodily concept of life. So the scientific process which the acharyas are given to the empowerment of Prabhupada, Prabhupada's are Shaktavesha avatar, empowered. Unless one is empowered by the Lord, he cannot spread the message of Godhead. So Prabhupada spread this message all over the world. It's just our great fortune, Agyata Sukriti. But if we're blinded by the illusion or unable to control the mind, unable to control the senses, it'll drag us to the ignorance and darkness that we've been living in for millions and billions and trillions of years. We can't even imagine how long our entrapment and our pursuit of enjoying this falsely in this world has been going on. It's just now we can just take a break from all that insanity and just take shelter of Prabhupada's lotus feet and attend the kirtan, see the deities, do service for the Lord. I remember in Miami, I was also in Miami Temple in Florida, and during festive days in particular, a lot of excitement. Ramchandra's appearance day, all the greenery would be coming. Devotees are running here and there, decorating the temple. Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, and the chanting is going, and everyone's sitting together in a happy spirit. And then we're cooking, and cleaning. And one devotee, he just loved washing pots. He wouldn't let anybody touch the pots. That was his service. He wanted to wash those pots enthusiastically. So we can take enthusiasm in cleaning the floor, cleaning the pots, dressing the deities, going on Sankirtan, or just doing the duty as given by the spiritual master, according to our capacity. That's why the brahmacharya life is the first training field, and it's also very good to strengthen our mind, to strengthen our routine and regulation and devotional principles. Because if and when we do get married, children do come, our focus can be on giving them Krishna and somehow living our life in a Krishna conscious way, and Krishna giving us the intelligence how to survive in this world according to our bare necessities. But we all have our destinies. Some are destined to have a different lifestyle. Even Srila Prabhupada was concerned when the devotees would come to Mayapur and Vrindavan in the early days. There was not so many, comfortable facilities. It's not like you had air coolers or air conditioners. You might get away with a mosquito net, and there wasn't so much maybe fresh water available, and cooking may have been a little bit austere. In general, according to our lifestyle, we're not accustomed to the rigor and austerities of living in the early days, especially in India. Nowadays, everything's available. You can live comfortably. And but that's not the goal of life, just comfortable living. But at the same time, we need to have a peaceful mind, and we need to have faith that Srila Prabhupada's guidance and instructions is all we need. Just like Arjuna, he decided that Krishna had said, I'm surrendering to you because now I recognize you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and please instruct me, guide me as to what is the purpose and goal of my life, how to achieve that goal of life. And it doesn't come easy, all of you may know. And there are a lot of entrapments. That's why we're always hearing about the Mayavadi philosophy. Then, there are those who may want to feel, hey, but there's not enough talk of Raganuga or Siddha Deha, that more esoteric, a little deeper philosophy that maybe you can get by living on the banks of Radhakund and Govardhan. Of course, these are very elevated places, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Radhakund, Shamakund. These are worshipable to all Vaishnavas, without doubt. And whether we're in our temple, anywhere in the world, we can also have that same mood. But of course, being physically here in Vrindavan, the atmosphere, the sounds, the pilgrims, the excitement, and seeing the beauty of Krishna Balaram, Radha Shama Sundari Vishaka, Sri Sri Gaurnitai, the Kirtan, seeing all the visitors and pilgrims, how they become animated and lit up. That when they hear the sound of the Kirtan, they see the beauty of the deities and the festive mood. It stirs them in their life. And that's what people go to holy places to be rejuvenated, to be enlivened in spiritual life. So it's not that we just take a little bite of Krishna consciousness and go away. I mean, we're young men, sometimes teenagers, 19, 20 years old, and we saw that Srila Prabhupada is delivering something totally special, clear, and his love is expressed by the way he guided and inspired the devotees in their devotional life. Not only just gave philosophy, but he gave a whole way of life. That Sankirtan, I got deviated. Books are the basis, preaching is the essence. Then we have purity is the force. So if we're hearing Srila Prabhupada's books, which are Krishna's books, if we're hearing Bhagavatam and we're actually chanting the Lord's holy name and doing service, then purity is the force. There's a certain power, certain Shakti and purity that comes with following the rules and regulations and hearing about the Lord. It's just like if you don't plug your phone in at night, you lose your power at a certain point. You need to recharge. So we're daily charging. And then utility is the principle, meaning that with books, preaching, purity, and then how to organize the whole show so that we are transmitting or broadcasting this message of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya's message all over the world. The Lord Chaitanya Nityananda have risen like the sun and moon, and they're saying, Jeev Jago, wake up, sleeping soul. How long will you sleep in the illusion of Maya? So to know that we're eternal is also very enlivening, that it's not all finished when this bag, which is no longer capable of doing any good work or enjoying in this world, the senses are slack, can't see or hear properly, can't eat, you're losing all your teeth. Wasn't it that when they offended Lord Shiva, and Shiva came back to the Yajna of Daksha, and those who were mocking, or when Daksha was chastising Shiva and smiling, they got all their teeth knocked out, so they had to eat only like little dough, and they could eat through their disciples. So at any rate, just a side story, but the idea is that the real pleasure and real happiness comes by the association of devotees, the holy name, kirtan, of course, taking prasad together, and just stay steady. If we're disappointed or there are so many challenges that are causing us to not feel the hair standing on end or the vibrance of spiritual life, then we just need to just tolerate that and continue staying in the association of devotees. The less we read in the newspapers about all the atrocities of pandemics and, injections, and if you get your injection, you're going to die. If you don't get your injection, you're going to die. And everyone has their ideas. Of course, we have to lead a balanced, healthy life. We have to make intelligent, conscious decisions. But our intelligence and our conscious decision should be how to increase my kirtan, how to increase my hearing of Krishna. And it's not just a routine or just something I have to do in a very, robotic way. I need to just want to look forward to hear the kirtan and sit with the devotees. And I'm looking forward to the next pastime, because these pastimes of the Bhagavatam are so incredibly informative and enlightening and encouraging. And if you're feeling terribly, terribly in bad shape, take some extra rest. Sometimes you need some extra rest. When I'd be on Sankirtan, when I joined the temple, devotees used to say, "Oh, you'd be good on Sankirtan." It's a technique they use to get you inspired. So I was thinking, okay, I started in Miami Airport doing Back to Godhead magazines, mid-70s. And I found that by meeting people and giving them Krishna and the exchange, and even those who are watching the Sankirtan devotees, they're amazed how these people are so happy and so animated, so charged. Prabhupada remarked that one priest commented that, "Swamiji, your disciples are so effulgent, so brilliant." And this is the magical potency of this bhakti process, following the rules and regulations, hearing from the guru, carrying out the order of the spiritual master. And this book distribution and preaching it can be utilized in many ways. That's why utility is the principle. Sometimes we go to the jails and preach and give out books. Sometimes you go into street corners and meet people, office, store to store. All kinds of techniques have been experimented by devotees all over the world. Or our preaching mission is that the deities look very beautiful every day. My duty is I want to make the Krishna and Balaram just glow with spiritual effulgence, that people will be naturally attracted to go back to the spiritual kingdom. Or keep the temple very beautiful, neat and clean. We all can participate to some extent, not expect why people are not doing this and not doing that. What are we doing? Main problem is we're not enough people looking at their own hearts and their own selves, that we're trying to change others and make everything right. Material world is a place of birth and death and suffering and challenges. So it's not by our, being disturbed or angry that we're going to change anything. Only when we clean our own heart and accept that everything is by the Lord's grace. Not a blade of grass moves without Krishna's sanction. We don't always understand why and how things happen. Why do bad things happen to good people? Sometimes that's a contention against the Lord. But the big picture of the Supreme Lord is that he's created this prison house of the material universe for our so-called illusory pleasure. And for one who's very fortunate, they discover the ways and means out of the cycle of birth and death, either by the Lord in his direct incarnation, as Arjuna is experiencing with Krishna, in the form of his incarnation, Bhagavat Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, in the form of this international society for Krishna consciousness, giving shelter to those who are eager to hear more about Krishna, to chant about Krishna, to take prasadam, and then understanding that I'm eternal, I'm ever existing, I'm undying. And this is the rightful place to be as far as understanding of our existence. When the spirit soul leaves the body, it simply deteriorates and goes back into the earth. So we'll be hearing more on Bhagavad Gita. even though Prabhupada sometimes he says it's the ABCs, elementary teaching, but then many times it said that Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic wisdom. So simplicity has its uniqueness about it. I play drums, the regular set, and there was one saying that less is more. So that means that, just don't try to get too elaborate, Veda Vadarata, and try to, like I'm going to sit down and study all the acharyas, and I'm going to really get my head around this philosophy of life. And just follow very humbly the spiritual master, read the books, keep good association, and naturally, spontaneously, and automatically, our Krishna consciousness awakens. But it takes time. During jaundice, the sugar candy tastes bitter, but that continual eating of sugar candy makes the jaundice go away and the sweetness emanates. So that's what we want. We want to enjoy the sweetness of Krishna consciousness, and that comes about by hearing Bhagavad Gita and the association of devotees. So we'll give a little time if anybody has any comments. If I said something wrong, they can correct me. But in general, it's a very auspicious day today. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Gadadhar Pandit. And Srila Prabhupada is always with us, so every day is a celebration. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. It was very much encouraging and enlightening. So much of positive message. The main thing you focused is that we should change ourselves, clean our own hearts first, rather than trying to point out on others. Also, you said that when we say we are eternal, it is very, very enlivening to know that we are eternal. We don't die with this body. And this world is created by the Lord for just to experience the illusory pleasures. So it's all very important facts we need to contemplate. And thank you, Prabhu. So I'd like to request devotees if you have any questions or comments on what Prabhu has discussed today, enlightened us. So you're welcome to do so. You can unmute your mic and ask Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
How many viewers today?
Prabhu, we have around 32, but they are sitting along with their family members. So it will be approximately we can 50 to 55.
Beautiful, beautiful. See, like you just transported me there with all of you. So then when I come, we'll all go to the ocean, have a kirtan. I love the ocean.
Hare Krishna. We love your music also, bro. We love your kirtans and music. We have seen some in the YouTube some of the kirtans. And
I'm not as experienced as some of these young people, but we're doing the kirtan. I'm going to do it daily. So it's such a good thing for us to have that habit, kirtan habit.
Yes, yes. Those who have this music, they can get absorbed more in kirtan than the other people.
Yeah, I love playing the gong, the wampers, and once in a while I get on the harmonium and sing a little bit. And during my crazy days, I'll play my drums and chant Hare Krishna too.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, bro. Hare Krishna. So, any devotees have any questions? Prabhu, I have a question. Like normally in material life, whenever we do something, we expect some result. By default, our mind is always looking for some result. But in spiritual life, we are not supposed to expect. We have to serve the Lord and the devotees without any expectation. So how to develop this mindset? Because naturally the mind always looks for results in many ways, either directly or subtly. Even when you do some devotional service, sometimes the mind always expects something in return, So
that's a very, very good question, actually, because as you said, materialists, they put all their energy and effort because they want to get the result, the money or some kind of gratification. But like now we just developed a deity maintenance department. So we have all these very eager gopi ladies who are just, polishing the silver and polishing and getting the clothing and the jewelry and everything. And they take great pride to do it nicely, and the result should be good. So if the result is for the pleasure of Krishna, we're attached to that too, that you're cooking and you know that this is going to be offered to the Lord and you don't want to just feed him. Prabhupada said, I can judge the quality of spiritual advancement in the temple by tasting the Raj Bhoga. So there are many varieties of services that we're all performing, and we should want to do them perfectly. And we are attached to the results for the pleasure of Krishna. Now, if we're attached to the results just so that we can say, oh, let me see your name again. Shiv Guna?
Krishna.
If I say Shiv Gun Krishna, you know, you're such a great host. You did such a good job in your hosting. You know, I mean, sometimes we do look for appreciation, like when devotees come and say, wow, the temple looks nice, or that's a really nice festival. You're doing a great job. So we know we're not the doers, but there is some satisfaction that I did this service for the pleasure of the deities and made the other Vaishnavas happy. So it's just a matter of proper utilization of an understanding that we should, even in book distribution, we want to do big, and somebody's doing bigger than us, and we start thinking, hey, you know, a little bit of envy may come out. But a real transcendentalist, advanced person will say, oh, this person is getting the special mercy of Srila Prabhupada or Guru Maharaj. So our endeavors, we look for recognition, but only for the pleasure of Krishna. There's a fine line. The endeavor has to be there, and some attachment is there, but not for sense gratification.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. So any other devotees would like to ask any questions? How is Vrindavan, Prabhu? Dham? How is the COVID situation there in Vrindavan?
Well, since the second wave lockdown has finished, it seems like pilgrims are super enthusiastic to come, and we're having a lot of visitors, and everything seems to start. If there's no third wave, I think we're all going to go back home, back to Godhead. It's really a wonderful family, Prabhupada's family. Of course, I'm in administration, so there's always some challenges and maybe some difficulties. But all these things are temporary. The real eternal is hearing about Krishna, chanting Krishna, and offering love and respect to Vaishnavas, devotees, everybody, to all living entities. So coming to a very high platform is not an easy adventure, but it happens automatically, jnana vairagya, by the practice of rules and regulations, sadhana bhakti. If one is strictly adhering to our fine Dr. Srila Prabhupada's advice of rules and regulations and abundance of hearing and chanting, then Krishna will iron out all the difficulties. We have to have that faith that Krishna, I'm in your hands now, you have to direct me and give me guidance. But it doesn't come easy. The Pandavas struggled, Prabhupada struggled, there's struggle. But have faith and determination and patience.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Pancha Gauda Prabhuji. Thank you very much for such a wonderful class. Prabhuji, I wish to request you to glorify on Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disappearance day around 5 minutes.
Yes, we had a beautiful class today. Dina Bandhu Prabhu spoke in the Krishna Balaram Mandir. And as I mentioned, I like reading that whole Sharanagati of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Takes us from his early days of frolic and play, schooling, taking care of family and responsibilities, and the uselessness of materialistic life, and how Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not only respected by having a high position of magistrate. The British were also appreciative of his abilities, but even though he had such a big family, big responsibility for his government duties and occupation, still he produced so many Vaishnava literatures and gave supreme guidance. And by bringing us Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and even his own determination, his realizations as progressively the different his different songs and different bhajans that he wrote, you can see his surrender to Guru, his appreciation of Krishna, that now everything I have belongs to you, my family, my children. Actually, just keep me like a dog in the corner of your room. I will protect you from. So in so many ways, he's showing his sentiments. And not only that, he was an assistant of the assistant who was serving the gopis of Radha and Krishna. And he was identifying with that, not in a sahajya and or artificial way. So, but showing us very progressively by his kindness and mercy, the way back home, back to Godhead through his songs and through his books and through his example. So by remembering Bhaktivinoda Thakur on his appearance day or disappearance day, they're all auspicious. These are injections of spiritual energy, although we can always talk about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but on these special days, we give special attention and remembrance. Right now, in the mandir, they're going to be doing the Pushpanjali and ceremony, and all together with flowers. And so this is the great Vaishnavas. By remembering them, remember Krishna, and that kind of mercy will fortify our heart so that we actually can have the strength to fight the illusion of Maya. So this is the potency of the great acharyas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki
Jai. Yes, Prabhu. Division Krishna Prabhu will.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. I know you are will be so much tied up with today's activities in the temple. In spite of that, you have accepted our invitation. So thank you very much for that, Prabhu.
As long as you send me some blessings from that, all of you together collectively, then we can we can reciprocate together to serve Krishna and Prabhupada nicely.
Sure. We are always looking your blessings, Prabhu. You are from Dham, so we are looking your blessings for progressing. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. And definitely we will also request you in future also, Prabhu. Please keep us inspired, enlightening us.
This is easy, you got the Zoom, just sit down here. And one day when all barriers are down, I will come there and we can have a nice kirtan and nice katha.
Sure, Bhaji.
I'm sure nice prashad as well, right?
Yes,
sure.
We are looking forward for that, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Very good.
Bhaji, we'll pray for Prabhuji for all together.
Jai Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pancha kalpataribhyascha kripa Kana
Kodi Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavat Gita ki jai, His Grace Pancha Gauda Prabhu ki jai.
Haribo. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chandravamshi Prabhu,
for
arranging Prabhuji for us. Thank you very much. We look forward in future also. Hare Krishna. Thank you all devotees for your wonderful association today. A couple of announcements. Actually, we are nearing to Jagannath Yatra. 11th and 12th, we'll have special classes. We will announce you in our groups. You can attend the programs. And we seek all your blessings for our little ones. We are starting our summer camp 2021 today afternoon 2:30 p.m. We wish to invite each one of you part of that inaugural function and bless all our children for their wonderful journey of another 15 days. So please join everybody in the afternoon session. We will be sharing the invitation with within our groups for all of you. Please join with us. Thank you. Because of this present situation, especially this couple of days, the COVID situation is very worst, and all these hospitals in Kanyadesh, means in Kuwait, it is fully occupied, and there is issues with patients. So considering this, we are not conducted our morning session. So please bear with us. After the situation improves, we will continue that activity. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So we'll wind up now.
Yes, Prabhu, you can wind up and you can switch off this